Yet. And I tell myself I'm over you because I'm the king of wishful thinking. Hi there, Terence McGuana here. Welcome back to the channel. And today I have my excellent guest, Sophie from Sophie's Retro Revival.
Yeah, that's
Am
it.
I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thought I was
Hi
going to
guys.
get that wrong there. How are you doing, Sophie? All right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well. And today we're going to be talking about Pretty Women from 1990, the rom-com classic, right? And do you want to kick things off,
Yeah, can do
Sophie?
it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where to start now. You
You
put
don't know
me.
where. No worries, right? Let me start by asking you when did you first see Pretty Women, and what was your first impression?
I must have been quite young because it came out in 1990 and I wasn't born to 95. So, um,
Awesome.
must have been about 9, 10 when I first saw it, and I probably saw it on TV. When they sort of edit bits out, so you never see like the full film.
All right. Yeah, hated it
So I
when they
probably,
did that.
so I probably saw that and then not really fully experienced it until later on. But I enjoyed it. I was probably really confused, like going to my mum, "Oh, mummy, what's a prostitute?" Asking all these awkward questions.
Wow, that was see. My first impression of it was just it coming out and it absolutely smashing the box office. Right, I used to watch film. Well, it would have been film 90 at the time. Barry Norman. Do you remember Barry Norman?
No.
No, he was like Britain's premier film critic, and they would show like the top 10 movies. So occasionally they would show you the American box office and what was happening in America, and there it was. It was Ninja Turtles and Pretty Women. They were the top films, and I was like, Pretty Women, oh, what's that all about? Right, and it came out in the cinema in UK. I can't remember exactly when in 1990, but it was not my kind of film. It didn't have guns. It didn't have people doing I like Van Damme movies at the time, right? That's what I wanted, right? So Pretty Women, I just dismissed that. That's a girl's film. Never going to watch that. But my sister, I think she rented it out when it first came out, and I saw bits of it, but still, I just had that kind of, don't want to watch that,
Yeah, that
right?
preconception. Oh, it's a girly film. I'm not interested.
Just completely no, don't want to see it. But over the years, I've watched it again and again. And do you know what? The best time that I've seen Pretty Women was last night. I sat in here by myself, and this is the first time that I've watched it by myself because my partner, she watches this film religiously, right? I
Yeah,
mean, at least I would say at least 10 times a year, Pretty Women goes on. If she can't think of anything to watch, it will be Lord of the Rings or Pretty Women, right?
good choice. Good choice.
Right, and I can always tell, oh, you hear the Lord of the Rings music, Pretty Women. Oh, she's ran out of ideas. That's what she's going to be watching. And last night it was just brilliant. Actually, really thoroughly enjoyed this film, and I love how tight the story is. How you can tell it's just regimented as a screenplay. You can tell it's been through about 20 writers till it's
Yeah,
came
a
on
lot
the
of
screen
changes.
here. Yeah, but what did you when you finally understood it? What did you think of it?
It's a very complex film. If that's a good way to put it, because it's not like your typical love story. There's more to it. People think, oh,
Right.
it's gonna be really cringe and like, but there's a lot more to it. It like gets you thinking. Because I suppose in some ways you can sort of relate because everyone's been through like heartbreak and falling in love and that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean, and I like the way that they do make the characters very likable. I know that the Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, their performances are so likable, and like I said about dismissing it, because I had an abstract view of this film for the last 32 years, right? I would sort of just judge it on the surface, like, oh, he's a curb crawler. How can that be deemed as romantic? And
Yeah,
also, he's got all the money, he's got all the power, right? So he's a misogynist, this character. So I would just throw all these accusations at the movie. Why are you watching that? That's just misogyny at play there, right? But you actually realise that these characters are very much alike.
yeah,
Uh,
they're more
uh,
like than you think. Yeah.
yeah, although they're from the opposite side of the tracks, right? but they're both money-driven people. They're both
Yep.
business people, right? Regardless of which trade they're in. And I like how they both guard their heart, right? They've got this strict rule. Like she has that strict rule that as a streetwalker that she doesn't kiss anyone, right?
She
Right.
doesn't
That's
get feelings or like attached to him, so
yeah, and exactly. And he when he takes over businesses, even though this is a mom and pop business that is going to put lots of people out of business, out of work, for him actually taking this whole company apart, he does not care. He says, "I don't get emotionally involved,"
yeah,
right?
he's
And
all
neither does
ruthless.
she.
Goes for it, yeah.
So I think that the film isn't just about this sort of boy meets girl, meet cute kind of relationship that we've seen dozens of times. I think it is about that putting materialism to one side and and doing what's truthful to yourself,
Yeah.
right? I think that's there are a few interesting elements to this movie. I really love it, but what would you say? What do you think? What do you think makes it so special? 32 years later,
It's just
Sophie.
one of a kind. There's no other film. There's probably films similar, but there's nothing that has the same sort of impact as Pretty Woman.
In what way?
Um, I feel like I'm in a job interview.
Yes, yes, we're doing Pretty Women the musical, right? So you've got to know this film inside out, you know.
No, like it's like obviously not to compare it to 50 Shades of Grey, but I suppose that's in some ways quite similar because you've got like the power and the money, but
Right.
like you said, they're very alike, but they sort of are in denial that they're alike because they come from two opposite sides. But I suppose once you get past, it's like I'm gonna compare it to an onion. Like you just peel back the layers, and there's a lot of
Right.
layers to it.
No, no, I fully agree. Yeah, there's a lot more to this film than just fluffy romance. And I've always thought to myself, even before I really fully understood this film, because like I said, I've looked at it in an abstract way. But even then, just because of its success and the films that have come out in its wake, right? That Pretty Woman is one of those lightning in a bottle movies, right?
Yeah,
That I call them, where so many filmmakers have tried to emulate it in some way. I remember just a year later, there was this comedy called Green Card that came out with Gere and Andy McDowell, and on the video cover, it actually said it may be some quotation from a newspaper, but it said this year's Pretty Woman. That is what it said, right? And then and even some trailer voice is like the best comedy since Pretty Woman. It was, and if it was a romantic comedy, it was always trying to make reference to that. We can recapture that recipe again. And even Julia Roberts, like for instance, her career has just absolutely exploded after this film. Right, I know she'd been in like Mystic Pizza, Steel Magnolias, a couple of
well,
television
still
parts,
Magnolias. That film broke.
right? Yeah, she'd been in a couple of these other parts before, but um, nothing quite like this. And she just absolutely exploded. Her pay packet just jumped through the roof. I think she won a Golden Globe for playing Vivian as well. And it's just, it's a terrific performance that she puts out here. And you're not surprised. I just rewatched Siskel and Ebert last night when they first reviewed it. And so they're getting to see it before everyone. And they're just saying, this is a star in the making. That's what Roger Ebert, he says. The right here, we have a star in the making,
Yeah,
right?
they mentioned that in the documentary, didn't they?
He was right on the money with that. I mean, Julia Roberts is still a big name these days, right? And I can't think of many female actors that have had what 32-year long career since they
Yeah,
broke out that are still able to headline a film like that.
and still relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, it really did have such an amazing impact. But we're blazing through these questions here. um, what do you think about the connection the film makes between business and prostitution? I think we kind of cover that.
Yeah, because like you're saying, their characters are very similar. They were like very money driven and business driven, but it's through like obviously prostitution what he does. But
Yeah. Do you think it's kind of? Do you think maybe it's an anti-capitalist sentiment? I'm not saying that it's like it's waving red flags or anything, right? Or it's pro-communist, but I do think that it could have that kind of idea. I mean, at the end of the day, right? When the film's over, they're not throwing away their money or anything, right? They still got all that wealth, but
yeah,
it's not what drives them. It's not the driving force of this relationship, and it's not the and there's a moment in it when his lawyer buddy finds out that she's a prostitute, and he goes over to her and uh, he offer, he tries to buy her services, right?
yeah,
And she gets upset now that Richard Gere has told him, and then they go back and have a fight in the hotel room, and he gives her the $3,000 that he promised her, and she's going to leave, and she leaves, and she doesn't even take the $3,000,
no, she
right?
picks up all her clothes, goes into the lift. I always remember that.
Yeah, and it's good. It doesn't make the money a factor in it. It really doesn't.
No,
Even though visually it does, right? You've got the car, you've got the clothes, you've got all these things that the hotel, the fancy dinners, the opera, all these places, the polo club. But I think that's just there to make the film look the way it does. I think deep down these characters don't care
no,
about the
they've
money.
got each other now, so they don't need anything else.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I think it's a kind of when you think about those times, right? I know that you weren't born in the 80s or 90s. Well, you were born in the 90s, right? But
Yeah,
no, we've got some questions here. Someone says, "How old is Sophie? Can she remember the film coming out?" No, she can't. She was born in 1995, so that makes her 27, right?
mm,
And but she's watched it more times than I can count. So she's a premier expert on Pretty Women. So what was I going to say? Oh, I've always got plenty to say. Is there anything you'd want to bring up?
I made some notes. I got prepared. Um. Oh, I was going to bring up her friend Kit because I think
All right.
Kit's quite a poignant character to Vivian's character. Because Kit was one who like introduced her to prostitution and stuff, but Kit is like always there for her. But
Yeah, she's a funny character. I like when she goes into the hotel for the first time and the old couple are there and she says that line. I'm not going to repeat it, you're right, but she has a funny character. But there's yeah, I'm really struggling here. I'm always struggling, right? But there's something. It's just it is such a tight script, and you could honestly when in screenplays where they have that turning point where you're going from the first act into the second act, it is so perfectly timed. That's what I love about Pretty Women. When you get to that point where it's like, oh, they're starting to have real interest in each other,
yeah,
right? Like for instance, and it's all done with a look. I think Richard Gere is fantastic in this, and I look at this film from the outside going, yeah, he's not trying. He's just playing the rich, smug businessman. But some of the things he does with just a simple look just lets you in on how he feels about Vivian in
yeah,
this movie, right? And one thing I've got to say about it, I mean, I've got lots to say. I've always got lots to say, Sophie, right? But how do you feel about the way that they represent Vivian as a character, like visually?
how do you mean?
Well, just the fact that right, the film is called Pretty Woman. I know that when it was getting shot, it was called 3000. 3000 because of the $3,000 that she's getting paid to stay there for the week,
Yeah,
right? But the fact that the film is called Pretty Woman, right? So the movie does live up to that. The main character is a pretty woman, right?
Yeah, she's beautiful
Right?
when she takes off the wig and she's got that really long, like red hair.
And that's great, isn't it? That moment is brilliant because that's the first moment where you actually feel that Richard Gere is actually attracted to her for
Yeah.
real, right? Because she's not got the wig on, right? She's lying there asleep, and we get to see her amazing hair for the first
Oh, I'm
time,
jealous. I'm jealous of her hair. She's got beautiful
right?
hair.
Right. But what I was getting at is that a lot of films in this vein, they usually have the female protagonist start off kind of frumpy, right, or
Oh,
not unattractive, but they're not glamorous in any way. And they sort of, as the story progresses, they become more glamorous, more attractive. But what Pretty Women does is it subverts that because the first time you meet Vivian, the camera ogles her body as she's lying on her bed, and she's got this amazing shaped body, right? And and I know that in fact that's a body double. So not only did they go to the fact of showing off this character's legs and her hips or whatever when she's lying and just simply lying in bed, but they went to that the next step of actually getting a body double for that part, right?
I
They
never
weren't
knew it was a body double. I've just heard.
No, no, it was quite famous at the time because everybody was like, "My goodness, that Julia Roberts, she's got some figure on her," and we were like, "No, no, it's actually this woman. She does that for a living, right?" So if the actress is feeling a bit uncomfortable or like she's not happy that people are going to see a wee pot belly, then they'll be like, "Right, let's get let's get her in." Yeah, they did that all the time. Probably don't now. They probably just stretch people with CGI. I wonder.
Yeah, Photoshop or yeah.
But I'll give you a great example. You ever seen *Romancing the Stone* with Kathleen Turner?
No, I do own it though. I just
Oh,
never watched it.
that's brilliant. Because what happens in that? I'm not going to spoil the movie, but Kathleen Turner, she starts off the movie with really greasy hair, sort of red around the nose, and she wears these horrible puffer jackets all the time. But then when she goes to this amazing adventure in Colombia, right, she falls down a big mudslide at one point, and when they finally get out of this jungle and they get to civilization, she puts on this frock, right, and she's got her hair down. She just looks magnificent, right? She looks absolutely magnificent. So she's transformed this adventure, this rip roaring adventure, has turned her into this beautiful goddess all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
That's what the movie does. Or you get those ones where the character or Adrienne takes her glasses off and you're actually quite attractive, right? Whereas Pretty Women doesn't do that. It just keeps it just
It's like
wants you
natural progression. You start to
you,
see
you just
the real side of her, I suppose.
you just the film wants you to just love this character from the moment it begins. Is what I'm getting at. I think that's quite unusual
Yeah.
and kind of, I suppose, subversive in its own way. Let me see if I get another good question. Right, what would you say to someone who suggested that this film glorifies prostitution? Yeah,
I
controversial.
don't really think it does because you know she's a prostitute, but you don't see much of it. You see like the bit at the start with like the group of prostitutes. I like that when it's like you're on my patch. Like they've all got patches. Like,
Yeah,
but I don't think it glorifies it.
it happened to a friend of mine one time in Glasgow. She was just waiting. She was just standing there, like waiting for a black taxi to go by, so she could hail a taxi,
Yeah.
right? And this woman came up to her and went, "Oh, you, I'm working here. Go somewhere else." So that
Oh,
happens. That really does happen. Right. Let me jump into the comments. Right. See what people have got to say about Pretty Women in the comments. Pretty Women was great. Julia Roberts was superb. Just a heads up, love, your top is a bit tight. You should have wore a size bigger. What? Okay, nice. All right. Um, hey, Soph Terence. Hi, Playtendo. How you doing? All right, mate.
yeah,
Uh, right, hold
that's
on.
my
You,
friend Pete.
yeah. Let's see if we can show them. Right, the film was just lightning in a bottle. It just worked. The soundtrack, actors, and storyline just made a fantastic film. You're right on.
Yeah, like you were saying, Richard Gere doesn't take the spotlight away from Julia Roberts. He does
Yeah,
it respectfully and tastefully.
we talked about that earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's well, there's was it pretty certain the director went on to make The Princess Diaries? Absolutely, he did. He made some terrible.
I do like The Princess Diaries, but that's the films I grew up with.
All right, okay. I'll hold my tongue. I'm saying that out of ignorance. I've never seen The Princess Diaries. I watched someone review it one time, so it's probably some old man talking about it, not the target audience.
I can't
Yeah,
remember when that came out, but I was probably, I don't know how old I was when Princess Diaries come out, but it's sort of the films I grew up with. But it's always them films that give you false expectations. Like, oh, you're going to meet a rich man and have like the perfect life. Or you're going to become a secret princess.
but does it give you the expectations that men are supposed to pay for everything as well? That if you went
I
out,
don't like that expectation. Like, me and my other half, we always split things, or like, I'll pay for something one week and
yeah,
I don't want to be looked after. Well, I want to be looked after, but like, I don't want a man to be like my personal piggy bank. Do you know what I mean?
cool. You want to take on someone else? No, see, I'm not going to go into it. I'm just joking. Right. Nice chat. Right. Okay. Fun fact: the opera Richard takes Julia to is about a prostitute falling in love with a rich man. Funny that. All right. Oh, I never knew that.
I never knew that.
There we go.
I love that scene where she's at the opera. She's like, I almost peed my pants, and the old woman just is like, what?
I know there's some really nice lines in this. I just love the scene where they go to the clothes shop and the clothes shop manager is just is just kissing her ass, and Richard Gere just totally winds him up as well. I love how they both have that. That's what I'm saying. They're so alike, these two characters. They're from different parts of town, and they have similar sarcastic sense of humor. And they've
Yeah, they
also
bring out the
got
best in each other.
yeah. And wonder if they will remake this film. Looks a prime candidate. I hope not. The 80s feel was good about it. Yeah, I Retro Hawk. I don't think they should touch it. But that's the thing. They've
No,
tried. It's one of those. It's
please
one of
never
those.
remake this film.
No, no, please don't. Because it will just flop. It will absolutely flop if they try to remake Pretty Women. I know they made it into a stage musical, but it would just totally flop. I mean, it's it's kind of it was one of those ones that even the people that made it couldn't recreate it. Like Playtendo was saying earlier, is that Richard and Julia, there we are, because you can't see these, can you? Richard, Julia, and the director reunited in 1999 for Runaway Bride. Have you seen that
Well,
one?
yeah, I do like that film.
It's no, still doesn't match it. I'm not seen it. So what's your verdict? Would you say it's comparable with Pretty
Yeah,
Women?
they've got that chemistry. They just work really well together.
Yeah. Do you know who else had that? John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John.
Grease, yeah.
Right? No,
There's
but
some actors that once you get them together, Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Grey. I think there was a bit of thing behind the scenes with them too, filming Dirty Dancing.
I thought he was a happily married man. Old
Yeah.
Swizzle, Patrick Swayze. What was it not?
There was like a few arguments behind the scenes, I think, when they were filming
Oh,
Dirty Dancing.
oh yeah, arguments. Yeah, I thought you meant like they had an affair.
No.
See, Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, they were excellent in Grease, right? But they also made this terrible film called Two of a Kind,
Oh, I've not heard of that.
right? It's a
Probably a
really
good
bad
thing.
it's a really bad movie. But see when they're on screen together, oh, magic, right? It's just absolute magic when they're together. They've still got that brilliant chemistry, but the movie is horrendous. Uh, yeah, that's right. We were talking earlier about body doubles, right? Retro Hawk's
Um,
got a wee bit of trivia as well. Is that the body on the cover, the one that's on that record behind you? That's not her body. Yeah, that's a Photoshop job as well. Before Photoshop, I don't know what they would have used back then.
That's crazy. I
Uh,
never knew that.
is it Ralph Bellamy's final film? I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure.
But do you know what it made me think of as well? Watching it again, it did make me think of Beverly Hills Cop and another Eddie Murphy one, Trading Places, because it had that sort of
I've not seen them.
it had that sort of fish out of the water. She's a fish out of water. She's the sort of working class person walking around with all the snooty people, and she doesn't know how to hold a fork and stuff like that, and she just sticks out like a sore thumb. Those movies had that, and I do know that it is a kind of remake of Pygmalion, the My Fair Lady. You could say it's similar to that. Well, what other points have you got to make about it, Sophie?
Um,
Put stick and scissors before.
I put about the costume design.
Oh yeah,
That's where I've gone for polka dots.
yeah.
It's still like 32 years later, and it's influencing me to wear polka dots. So it just shows.
Well,
That,
I would say that the fashion in it, none of it is garish, right? You watch a lot of 80s stuff like The Lost Boys, uh, Miami Vice, all the shows that were meant to be fashionable at the time, Dynasty, right? You rewatch those shows, you would not want to wear some of the stuff that they wear in those shows.
no, but
It's
in Pretty Woman, there's like loads of outfits I'd wear.
They're iconic. They're absolutely iconic. And do you know what I would say as well is that the outfits themselves help tell the story,
Yeah. You
right?
see, because at the start she's in like that little skimpy outfit, and then she's got a shirt on. It's like an evolution of her character growing through the outfit.
Yeah, without them actually having to explicitly say it some way.
Yeah.
That they've clothes themselves show that transition, but not only just with her, but with Edward as well,
Yeah.
right? And the part that I thought was really quite cute, right? There's lots of cute moments in this. There's a lot of bits where you just go, "Oh, that's cute," right?
Yeah.
For example, when she first wears the black dress, right, and she's at the bar, and he comes in and he can't find her
Yeah.
anywhere,
Straight
right?
fast. He
Just
doesn't
doesn't
recognize.
recognize her, right? And also when she's getting the clothes, she sees the guy's tie. She's like, "Oh, that's a really nice tie." Takes it off of him. I'm going to give that to Edward, right? And it's actually quite kind of a hideous tie,
Yeah.
right? It's definitely not something I would wear. It was like a kind of yellow and grey, kind of horrible pattern on it, right? But he wears it when she's at the polo club. He's wearing that tie, right? And he does, based on his attire earlier on. You don't think he would have probably went, "Nah, that's horrible." No, he's wearing it because she
Yeah.
gave it to him, right? And that's where you get information from the clothes that they wear of how this relationship is going. I love that, right? It doesn't treat, even though it's a simple story, right? It's an A to B fairy tale.
Yeah. But it just
It,
works.
I know that's amazing. I mean, they could have brought all this political intrigue and all this nonsense, or another character, his ex-wife, could have shown up. That would just ruin the movie
Yeah.
completely, right? Yeah, Irene, we are talking about Pretty Women today, finally. Yeah, this lady came to my first live that I did, and she's like, "You're not going to talk about Pretty Women?" Yeah.
We're finally
Well,
talking about it.
well, if you've got anything you want to ask us about Pretty Women, Irene, we're the experts, right? We'll answer any question that you have, right? Um, but I think we've been through all the prick, stick, and scissors. That's right. That's how they did
Yeah.
that.
I just never knew that.
I'm just trying to see what else we've got here. My goodness, I've just pure blazed through these questions. Uh, what have you got there? I mean, we're 29 minutes in, and we've went through the questions like butter.
Um, what's one of your favourite scenes? There you go.
What's
Question
one
for
of
you.
my favourite scenes?
Yeah.
Uh, now you're asking. Actually, it's just the just when he's driving around at the start, and then the guy's like, yeah, that's Sylvester Stallone's house, right? He's in the pure dodgy area. It's not really scenes; it's just little lines and moments that just grab me and make me laugh.
I
And
do have I do have a favourite scene myself.
well,
It's where
what's that?
Vivian's in the bath just singing Prince. Because
Right,
everyone can relate to that, just singing in the bath, and it got me to love Prince. So.
right.
But I just love that scene. It's just something about it. She's just vulnerable and she's in the bath and she's just singing along. I just love
So
it.
it's
Always puts
also
a smile on my face.
it's also quite good that she's not very good at singing,
Yeah.
right? Uh, Most people aren't, right? Especially when you've got your headphones on and you sing along, and people are like, "Shut up! You're just horrible. Stop doing that." Yeah, but that's the beauty of this character. She is so relatable, even though she's incredibly striking. Right? She's gorgeous,
Mm.
but she is such a relatable character, and I think that's. I mean, Julia Roberts is just legendary in this part. Really is. You can't think of a romantic female lead in the last 30 years that's been as charismatic and compelling.
No, I can't think of anyone.
Not to that degree.
No.
She doesn't go for that ditzy girl next door thing that became.
That makes me cringe. I know. I suppose when I was younger, I probably thought, oh, it's cute. But now, I was like, no, why? Or like when they dumb themselves down to get the guy, I'm like, no, just be yourself.
Oh,
That's my lesson for everyone watching. Just be yourself.
the manic pixie dream girl. That one really annoys me. You know, that type that trope is just boring. Yeah, she's a sort of strong character. I
Yeah.
like that about her, and but like, we could go off topic if you want. That's what I mean. We can stick within the remit of this subgenre, but the one that I do think that Pretty Woman absolutely broke the mold, right? At that time, even when I didn't like this film, I could not deny that this movie was an absolute juggernaut,
Yeah.
right? And the amount of movies that came out after it. I mean, Julia Roberts, she was knocking them out after this. I think in a few months, uh, Sleeping with the Enemy came out, and that was another hit that she had. And her,
I've not seen that.
well, it's okay. It's a kind of routine psychological thriller. It's kind of unintentionally funny, right? She has this psychotic boyfriend, right? Husband. No, she has a psychotic husband. She fakes her own death to get away from him, which works for a short while, but then he comes back. And the thing that's funny about her psychotic husband is that he was meticulous, right? So if the towel on the side of the bath was a wee bit wonky, he would make sure it was super straight. This guy, right? And there's a part in it that just always makes me laugh, where because now that she's away from him, she's intentionally untidy, right? Now just to have that sort of freedom of I can just be untidy, right? So
Mm.
there's a scene in it where she opens up the cupboard and all the tins are all arranged perfectly, and so she's like, I know he's here, right? I just love that. It's just such a stupid giveaway that the psycho is about because he's tidy.
No, no, I'll have to give it a watch.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's kind of dumb fun, but it was a big hit and all. And Flatliners, I think Flatliners came out the same year as Pretty Woman. Yeah, she was just everywhere, and she became a target for all the gossip magazines. I mean, she married Lyle Lovett. Lyle Lovett being this sort of middle of the road country singer who didn't look like the most attractive man in the world. So Julia Roberts gets so much stick for that. It's like, man, you could get any guy in the world. You're the pretty woman, right?
Mm.
But no, you go for this horror. Yeah, all that she was in the tabloids a lot as well, just unnecessarily. Hi, Miss Gasper Hart, Miss Hart Gasper. Sorry.
Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up. But
Do you, do you think Pretty Woman has like impacted like modern rom-coms?
oh, absolutely. Maybe not so much now because I don't think they're as funny now. See, it does this balancing act with the darkness, with the kind of the sleazier aspects of it, right? Because being a prostitute, there's nothing sleazier, and it somehow manages to clean that up. I don't know. Gary Marshall seemed to be a master at that. There was a previous film that he made, Overboard, with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, and that makes kidnapping seem romantic. Believe it does, right? Because even though you're like, this is a jolly comedy and it's melting my heart, this is about kidnapping. Check it out if you've not seen it. I guarantee you will love it. It is pure cheesy fun. But
I'll have to have a look out for it.
well, I mean, what are the sort of qualities you look for in a romantic comedy?
Um, I don't like it too cringe, but I suppose sometimes you can't help that. But one of my other favourites, more recent rom-com, is Bridget Jones's Diary,
Right,
and
it's like
like
20 years
those.
ago.
Yeah, damn, I always think I keep saying, oh yeah, modern rom-com, but like you said, that was like 2001. I think that came out the first one.
Yeah, I
So
know that's hard
actually
to
not
believe.
much later, but yeah, I don't really watch rom-coms much anymore.
No,
No.
they don't really make. I don't know. They don't really make ones that I'm really drawn to. I remember they made these ones that was all about. Uh, was it no strings attached and things like that? I don't know.
Yeah, they
They,
made no strings attached and Friends with Benefits.
yeah, at the same
And
time.
yeah, I prefer Friends with Benefits. I prefer that film. Just because Mila Kunis, I've got a bit of a girl crush on Mila Kunis.
All right.
But yeah,
And
I
what
don't
was
really go
the?
towards rom coms anymore because, like I said, they don't make them how they used to. There was one, I think, what was it? I can't remember when it came out. It was a Netflix film called Isn't It Romantic? And that sort of takes a mickey out of like all the tropes of romantic comedies.
Who was in that again?
Rebel Wilson.
Right. I think I did see that. Is that not someone who sort of they wake up one day and they're in a rom com?
Yeah,
So it's almost like a parody of them all.
she gets like
What is
um
my favourite? Well, this is it. Pretty Woman. Absolutely, John B. What is my favourite rom com? It's got to be pretty. It's got to be
yeah
a toss up between this and Overboard. Both Gary Marshall films. Just because it's that blend of humour and romance and getting it right. You don't want to, you don't want to make the characters unlikable or too, like you're saying, too cringy. Because
yeah
those later ones, see Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve, Gary Marshall, well, he did these ones that were like Love Actually with a huge cast. You get like Robert De Niro, Halle Berry, Julia Roberts, just you name it, like Queen Latifah, just loads and loads of actors in these films, and it trying to do Love Actually in that vein, and they are really cringy. And
it just
this is
goes to
this,
show you can have a big cast of like big names, but it's not necessarily going to be a good film.
yeah, but that's probably it. They probably look at the script and they're like, "This is toilet paper." Right? How do we hide the fact that this is toilet paper? Get Robert De Niro, Halle Berry. I know where the bodies are hidden, so he owes me a favor, something like that. Um, but yeah, it's a juggling act. It's a real juggling act, and that's why I think it is a really important subgenre because you from the outside, I just despise it. You just go, oh, there's another one with Jennifer Aniston, and it just looks the same as that last one,
Yeah,
right? And then it doesn't. When you actually get down and actually sit down and watch it, you realize, oh, do you know what? This is actually really good. And but I think there was a whole period as well where that whole kind of I don't know, it was this kind of gross out humour came into the fore, like in
yeah,
the late 90s, and that was an okay one. There's something about Mary, but that was
I've,
like a romantic.
I've seen
You,
that.
you like that one?
Yeah, it's alright.
Yeah. That was more like let's throw some gross out humour in with the romance, and that tend to kind of carry on for a good while. You got like Wedding Crashers and stuff like that, where it was trying to do the sort of I don't know, raunchier humour
Yeah.
that I don't know, frat boy kind of humour. I don't know. Those films are dated. They're all dated. I'm sorry. Pretty Women is like it's all right. It's 80s. I think that the music and the cinematography are the only things that show its age. The clothes don't. I think the clothes look
No,
magnificent.
it's timeless. It really
Yeah,
is.
it really is timeless. Yeah, Gross Point Blank. Gross Point Blank's a good rom com.
I've
Bit of
not
a
heard of
strange
that.
one. You seen that one, Gross Point Blank?
No, I've not heard of that.
It's John Cusack, and he's a hitman, and he goes back to his high school reunion and just pretends to people, yeah, I just work for Kentucky Fried Chicken and all that. And at the same time, Dan Aykroyd plays this other hitman who's out to kill him.
Okay.
It's really, and he meets his old girlfriend, and he starts to see her again, and it's nice, but it's also kind of weird, I suppose. Weird concept, but yeah, Gross Point Blank, really good.
I was
Um,
gonna throw out a film. It's called Warm Bodies. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Like
this is
um zombies, but it's kind of romantic comedy, but with zombies. It's actually really good. It works really well though. I'm not a zombie person, but when I saw Warm Bodies, I was like, oh, I actually quite like this because it's like a zombie falling in love with a human. It's it sounds like a really weird concept, but it works.
I think I remember it coming out. Yeah, Warm Bodies. What's the guy that's in it?
Nicholas Holt.
Nicholas Holt. That's right. Is he not like Beast in the X-Men?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh yeah, Retro Hawk agrees with me. Warm Bodies was a good film.
Yeah, where is
I
it? Oh,
suppose
can you?
I like that because it's something different. It's like your romantic comedy, but you've got a bit of a twist because
But
they're like,
I think that's what Pretty Women started because it wasn't just boy meets girl. It's from the opposite side of the tracks. I think it took that chance, and you got to remember as well. Touchstone Pictures, who produced Pretty Women, was a subsidiary of Disney,
yeah.
right? And they're making a film about a guy falling in love with a prostitute. And at that time, that was pretty risky for a mainstream film. Okay, maybe for some low budget B movie, it's nothing, right? Right. Okay. So someone's asking John B in the comments, Sophie, what is three of your all-time favorite movies?
Oh, Titanic. It's like it's always Titanic for me. Um, it always changes every time I watch a film though. I like a film called Telstar. It's a great film.
Telstar, about the record
Yeah.
label.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I've always wanted to see that. There's actually a song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's great. I definitely recommend Telstar.
I forgot about that.
Um, what else? Oh, obviously Peter Pan. You can't see, but I've got a Peter Pan tattoo.
Which Peter Pan?
I like the 2003 Peter Pan.
All right. Ah, yeah, I heard that was good. The one that they brought out a few years ago, was it Pan?
I've not seen that. I've got it. I've got like every version of Peter Pan you can possibly get.
The whole all of Neverland.
Like I've got books, just everything Peter Pan.
You like Peter Pan as a character, the story?
Yeah, I don't like Tinkerbell. Just don't get me started. I could rant and rave about Tinkerbell. Just don't like his character.
Ah, she's a bit moody, isn't she? A bit. I like Tinkerbell as a character because she's in the Disney version.
Played by Julia Roberts in
That's
book.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
She's
that
my
was like
favourite.
she was everywhere. In the I don't know. I thought she was kind of miscast as Tinkerbell and Hook, to be honest.
Me and my other half rewatched it recently, and we just tore that film apart.
Right. I like Hook. Do you know what's amazing about it? The score. Score's fantastic.
Like the first half is brilliant. We don't really like the middle portion, and it's like the Lost Boys and they're trying to get Peter Pan back to Peter Pan. It's just this whole montage scene. I thought it was really cringe, and like the ending of Hook, I really like. So if I could just put the first half and the last half hooked together and just ignore the middle portion, I'll be alright.
I think I'm with you. See the part where they fantasize about eating food.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah, that's cringy, innit? And they're all like painting on him, you know. All the kids are all touching
like
him.
Robin Williams, brilliant actor. But
Yeah. What's your favourite Robin Williams movie?
probably Mrs. Doubtfire.
Have you seen The Fisher King?
No.
You need to see that.
Yeah, it's either Mrs. Doubtfire or Jumanji.
Oh, Jumanji. Did you like the recent ones with The Rock and?
I've watched the first one. I didn't mind it, but it doesn't have that same like feeling as Jumanji did.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Because when they take like an older film, they try and modernise it or like do sequels like years later. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it works, like obviously with Ghostbusters. Have you seen Ghostbusters Afterlife?
No, not yet.
Oh, I went to cinema to see that, and it works really well.
Right, okay. Just yeah, Good Morning Vietnam. That's another great one.
Oh, I've seen most I didn't like Flubber. Just didn't like that film.
No, I wasn't a Flubber man myself.
No.
But let's see if we can. What about so the Peter Pan? Yeah, I'm lost for words. Right? When do you ever see me lost for words? Never. Right? But another good rom com of that time, according to Retro Hawk, is When Harry Met Sally. Right? And that was before Pretty Women.
I've
Do you
not
like
seen
that
that, but
one?
I've seen like the famous scene
Oh yeah.
in the
See,
cafe.
I like the film. I think it's really good, right? Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan have got amazing chemistry in it, but I just don't like the message that it puts across, right? Because the whole point to the film is that men and women cannot be friends because they'll just end up going into bed with each other. That's what happens, right? And that happens in the movie, right? So they prove the fact that men and women cannot be friends, and I think that's dreadful. How are you supposed to like? How are we supposed to build spaceships and do things together? How are we supposed to actually be united and work together if everyone's just getting into bed with each other? That just doesn't make sense to me. Written by
Yeah,
a woman as well, Nora Ephron.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
I just think that's kind of harmful. But at the same time, it's a goofy comedy. It's not really causing anybody any upset, right? But yeah, I don't really like that message. But because really, I've had loads of female friends, never once, right? And I've been close with them, good buddies, right? Really good friends, and it's never occurred to us ever,
Yeah,
right? And I don't think that I think that film's kind of it's wrong. I'm not saying it's
yeah,
wrong, like oh ban it, that film's sending out a terrible message, but I just that's my criticism of it.
yeah. I could see because it could, like you said, put that message in somebody's head about that. I'm like, most of my friends are male just because women can be bitches. But, just putting that out there.
So can men. So can men. Honestly, right? I can be a right B sometimes myself, you know. But oh, I was gonna say here. Hold on. Yeah, I like that line in it in Pretty Woman where the guy, when he's going to do the business deal with that company, right? And Richard Gere's kind of feeling a bit more reluctant because he started to kind of open up his heart a little bit more in the film.
Yeah,
And his friend, the lawyer, the scuzzy lawyer, is like, his jugular is exposed. You need to go in for the kill.
yeah.
Right? He's using that line, and you're just like, oh, that's just so horrible, isn't it? It just makes him think of like a wild animal that's just going to rip someone's throat out.
I just don't
Uh,
like that character.
oh yeah,
Wasn't it? Oh, Phil. Yeah, Philip.
yeah. But all the characters are great, and there's one thing I like about Pretty Women as well. It's not cluttered with too many characters. I find a lot of these films have got way too many characters in them.
Yeah.
It keeps it really simple, keeps it kind of basic. That these are the core characters, and that's it. And it's amazing that this film has never been emulated, but it is so it's so basic. It's so you could the plot into it is just it's so A to B. It's so simple. It's amazing that you could never recreate this classic film.
Yeah.
And as much as they've tried, as this year's Pretty Women, no, it's not. It just isn't,
I
right?
don't like when films do that. They'll quote like another film, going, "Oh, it's this year's blah blah blah." I'm like, no.
Yeah, they used to always say in the tradition of, right? And it's just no. The restaurant scene is funny. In what film? In Pretty Women or
I was gonna
um,
say, if it was in Pretty Woman, yes, when she tries doing the thing with the snail, and the snail just goes
oh
wrong.
yeah, the escargot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's brilliant. But the I thought he was talking about When Harry Met Sally. The I'll have what she's having. But I think I should have wrote out more questions. We just blazed right through them.
Just trying to think what else I got written down. I wrote about feeling that scene where he attacks Vivian because I find that really hard to watch. Because it's like, oh,
Right.
you're a prostitute. You should give me what you want. No.
Yeah, I know. But see, I don't know if you watch a lot of films, right? You do notice in films that prostitutes are characters who are pretty much dismissed. They are usually they're cannon fodder in films, right? I mean, I watched Showdown in Little Tokyo just a few weeks ago with Dolph Lundgren, and there was a prostitute in that. She's got her head cut off by the bad guys. She's just a prop there to show off how ruthless the bad guys are, right?
Yeah.
No one's crying over it. 2 scenes later, this character is forgotten, right? Nobody turns up. No old grandpa from the Midwest turns up looking for her. Nah, she's just see you later. And
Yeah.
I think Hollywood tends to portray prostitutes as just disposable people.
Yeah.
And I think that's unhealthy, right? It's unhealthy for people to be seen as dehumanized in that way, right? And as much as you might say, oh, Vivian, she's glamorizing prostitution here, is she really? She's probably in a whole list of cinema prostitutes. She's like that 1% that doesn't end up getting murdered, strangled,
Yeah.
right, by some villain in some slasher film, right? Because you try and think of other on-screen prostitutes in movies, they usually end up uh, in dead or something else, right? And I think that must have been refreshing for people because I'm sure when it first came out, when Richard Gere she's going to go back to this, they're going to go their separate ways, right? And this character's going to go back to the street and everything's going to be the way it was before. I bet the audience must have felt, oh no, this is actually going to happen. This is really going to happen because in history of cinema, we've watched enough movies and TV shows. Prostitute, she's a prostitute. She doesn't deserve any happiness,
Yeah.
right? She's a sinner, right? So she
Yeah, but
should
I don't think it glamorizes it.
no, but that's in a way that even though it gives you this fairy tale Cinderella ending, right? Because of the expectations of the audience that what's the outcome of a prostitute in a movie, it totally subverts it
Mm.
and gives you that Cinderella ending, and that's magnificent. That's what really makes it. I mean, all right, in hindsight, you could say, oh, it's very routine, but no, I bet on the first viewing, people must have thought, oh yeah, she is going to go back to
Yeah,
the life
because
she had
there was going to
before.
be a different ending, wasn't there? You were saying because like test audiences, they didn't like how it was originally going to end.
Yeah, that's right. They did shoot the original screenplay had a more downbeat ending where they did go their separate ways, and they showed it to the test audiences. And I explained this to you earlier as well, is that I don't like test audiences for films.
No, I
'Cause
think
it's
they should go into it and just.
not that they made the wrong decision. I think they made the right decision here, right? But
Yeah.
the but I think taking it away from the artist and putting it in the hands of the public is a bit of a mistake, right? Because they're not. That's the reason we have artists, right? Because they create the art. We don't do it. We just
No,
we're the audience. So yeah, I think that's it's like they're there to give us what we need, right? If we kept getting what we want, we end up with the Rise of Skywalker. That's what happens because
I've
the
still not seen that. I refuse
oh
to.
you refuse to
Yeah. After
why
Last Jedi, I'm like, no.
no, but that's that what they did is they took all the suggestions of the fanboys and just made it to what they wanted. Oh, you want Emperor Palpatine to be Rey's grandfather? Well, there you go. They pretty much just proved all the fan theories right, and it was bland as anything, right?
That's why I'm, like I was saying, obviously won't spoil anything with Ghostbusters Afterlife. There was like a lot of nostalgia and like nods to the original film, but it wasn't like done in a
Wasn't
bad like.
overdone.
Yeah, they done it in a really like tasteful way, and like
All right, so
it
just
was like
just
it was for the fans, but it wasn't just doing it to please the fans. You know what I mean?
no, of course. I know it's just I hate when they do that. I hate when they do that fan service because when I think of like the 1980s Masters of the Universe, right? The movie.
I do love that film.
Yeah, me too, right? There's a part in it. I remember watching it as a child, being kind of disappointed by it because it wasn't like the He-Man cartoon, right?
Yeah,
Right? But there was a part in it where Beastman is all the characters have failed Skeletor, and Skeletor's angry, and Beastman goes up to Skeletor's hand, and he's like, "Oh," like as if he's sorry,
yeah.
right? And he's like, "Ah," right? Pushes him away. I was like that to me when I was younger. That was the best bit of the film because that was as close to the cartoon as they got. Because Beastman was cowering in front of Skeletor.
Yeah.
So if and back then they didn't even know what fan service was, but that could have been construed as a moment of fan service, right?
I do love
Right?
that film. A lot of
Oh,
people like not massive fans of that film, but I love it.
yeah, me too. It does bring me some nostalgia. uh, what was I going to say? But yeah, someone. No, I think we've got some more comments here. Yeah, Zombie wanted to ask you, Sophie, what is your all-time worst movie?
Oh. There's a film that I really like, and I'll get to the point. But there's a film called The Last Exorcism, and the first one's all found footage. It's not like the best possession film ever, but it's quite a good film. And they made a sequel. It's not found footage. And me and my other half got like an hour in and nothing really happened. And we didn't see how it ended. So probably Last Exorcism Part 2. It went in the bin bag. It was awful.
So it was the second one, not the first one,
Like the first one's brilliant. I
right?
recommend that. But it's just the second one.
All right. I've not seen
It's because
either
they
of
went
them.
off. They should have kept it found footage, but it just didn't work.
All right. So the first one's found footage and the second one
Yeah.
isn't.
No.
That's bizarre. Uh, well, for me, the worst film I've ever seen in my entire life is a film called Myra Breckinridge from 1970, starring what's her face, Raquel Welch as a man who's transformed into a woman.
Okay.
So Raquel Welch was a man who's had a sex change to look like Raquel Welch, who's went to Hollywood to become a movie star to get revenge on this Hollywood producer, and
Okay.
it is awful. It was based on a book by I think it was Gore Vidal. Was it Gore Vidal that wrote the book? And it was a piece of satire. The book was apparently brilliant, but the movie was absolutely atrocious. Honestly, you can't sit through this film. It's so bad. The Last Exorcism Part 2, even the name is terrible, makes no sense. But,
Yeah, and they completely like retconned all characters from the first film. They don't even mention them because, like, spoilers for the first one, how it ends. It's like a big fire and obviously the exorcism, and then you just see the all. There's a character called Cotton who like runs towards them all to like stop it, and then it just ends there, and you just never find out what happens to him, and it really bugs me that it
yeah,
ended like that. Look, I don't like films like that just end. We me and my other half watched one called what's it called? Roadkill. The
right?
Paul,
From the 80s?
no, it's
No, the 90s one with
yeah, it's Paul
Paul
Walker
Walker.
and I can't remember the other bloke's name. But
I've
how that
seen that one.
ended, obviously no spoilers of how it ends, but I just didn't like the ending. It's very
I don't remember it
ambiguous.
having a good ending either. I remember,
No.
but that was the new Star Wars trilogy were all terrible. Yeah, pretty much. Sounds like Blair Witch 2 actually switched from found footage to regular setup. Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never seen the Blair Witch Project.
No?
Because everyone's like, oh, it won't have the same impact because you know it's not real and like. But I might give it a go. I do like found footage.
I think I think at the time, unless you went to the screening at the Sundance Film Festival in 1999, everybody knew it wasn't real, right? I think it was just that the hype behind it. It had a big, massive amount of hype. I wish I'd have saw Blair Witch without seeing anything about it, because
Yeah,
I just the hype annoyed me. It just actually annoyed me, and I already hated it before I even saw it.
I probably
And
will give it a go just to say I watched it.
no,
But
I've been meaning to give it a rewatch. Actually, look at us, we're into horror films now. Really, it's like we don't like rom coms. Came here to talk about Julia Roberts. No, we're here to talk about horror. Have you seen that one, The Sadness?
no,
Do you like them really violent?
I like violence, but not gore. If that makes sense.
All right, okay. You won't like that one then. It's quite violent. It's this Taiwanese film. It's on Shudder, and it's about this virus that breaks out, and it just turns people into crazy people,
Is it kind
right?
of like 28 Days Later? Kind of like that
Yeah,
sort of.
like that, but more gory and more a lot of sexual violence in it as well. So it makes
Oh,
people really violent that they just want to hurt you as bad as they can, and they swear at you as well. They're just the most aggressive, violent people. It just turns people into aggressive, violent people. So it's kind of like a zombie movie, but they're not zombies. They're just crazy, angry,
oh,
violent people. But the violence in it, it was so ridiculous that it was very entertaining. But it was only, I would say, it was the middle of the film, and then towards the end, it kind of just slowed down, and then I kind of lost interest. I thought it was just going to go from one ridiculous set piece to the next, but no. Anything else in your notes that you want to discuss about Pretty Women?
um, no, I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Um,
The one thing I thought was quite interesting as well, that see in the 1980s, there was so many films where, I mean, the AIDS virus was such a big thing in the 1980s, right? And
yeah,
very few mainstream movies that ever made any reference to it or any moment to show people using protection, right? Besides Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman was one of the few films that I can think of where characters actually had protection and made a
yeah,
point of mentioning it, right? Oh, but only because she's a prostitute, right? And I think Basic Instinct got criticised when that came out because there was no mention of it whatsoever, even though the AIDS virus was rife. And even James Bond in 1985 in Beauty or Kill, James Bond bedded 4 women in that movie. Roger Moore, I think he was like 59 years old or something in the movie. and he buried 4 women, and this is before Viagra. And the next 1987, once he left the role, Timothy Dalton took over, and the producers made a conscious effort that Bond only went to bed with 1 woman in that film, and the same with the next one. So it was almost like, because they felt a social responsibility, that we can't just show someone sleeping around all the time when there's this sexually transmittable disease going about,
Yeah.
right? So you've got you've got to take your hat off to Pretty Women for that as well. That it was actually representing the times quite positively,
Yeah.
and other wee things that I put in here. I There is this thing about the cinematography that I love about it. It's really soft. Like, I mean, I've noticed this with other Touchstone Pictures productions, like Beaches and what was it? A lot of other ones I can't think of right now. But with their films, they tend to have this kind of soft. It's not like really sharp black on white contrast that you would
Yeah.
get with certain films. That they all seem they have this weird tone throughout them visually, and Pretty Women's got that as well. How you feeling? You all right? You happy to continue, or
Yeah, I'm fine.
you cool?
Yeah, I'm
No
good.
worries. If you feel tired or anything, just let me know, okay?
No,
I
I'm
mean,
fine.
because you're my guest, right? So I want to make sure you're happy.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
No, I can see what you mean. I love the shot of when she's walking down. She's got all her shopping bags, and it obviously plays Pretty Woman. Just love that scene. It's very like iconic scene. And she goes
Yeah.
back into the place where they kicked her out of, and she's just like, "Yeah, big mistake, huge mistake that you kicked me
Yeah.
out." Funny now.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. And the bit where she's got the red dress on, right? Where she just looks so elegant, and she does. It's probably the first time in the movie where she doesn't look out of place.
Yeah,
In her performance as well as her appearance, right? That it's only that's the thing when she's at the opera, right? You get that line like, "I just peed my pants," because that kind of just cuts right through all the. Because by that point you're already just buying that she belongs there, and then that just kind of reminds you, oh wait a minute,
yeah.
it's
Takes you
still
down to earth, like, oh, she doesn't belong. But
yeah, she still has that personality, right? That's not going to
that's
change.
what I like. Like she never loses that personality.
No, of course. You shouldn't, and that's kind of as well, and that's what he rediscovers because, like I was saying, with the whole I miss building blocks, right? And that's all triggered by what she said. You don't build anything, you don't make anything,
You
right?
just
And
put people
he's
down there.
sitting there with the shot glasses, right? It's just like that hurt, that hit him somewhere, and he's like, right,
It's like a light bulb went off. Like, oh,
yeah. All he does is move money around, right? And it's kind of he doesn't. He's clearly not getting any real satisfaction out of it, especially when he's saying, "Yeah, you need to go for the jugular, right?" And it's pointless, and it's weird that came at a time. I think there's Pretty Women is definitely a sign of the times as well, because the
mm,
1980s, that whole Wall Street banker thing, that was cool. That was what was cool. The whole me generation where Reaganomics, Ronald Reagan's sort of let's just all get into debt, sort of capitalism, right? It encouraged more debt,
yeah,
and this movie I felt was kind of going against that ever so slightly. It was almost like all the. It was probably the first movie of the '90s that had a kind of more of a '90s sentiment instead of all this. Let's get any more debt. Let's uh, let's put more people out of business just for our own selfish gain,
mm,
right? It was actually trying to turn itself around. And there's another film that came out the same year that I felt was very different from any of the films in the 1980s, and that's The Hunt for the Red October. Have you seen The Hunt for the Red October?
no, I've heard of it though.
It's really good because it's a Tom Clancy novel. You've heard of Jack Ryan, right? The Jack
Yeah,
Ryan books and all that, right? Well, this was his first ever screen appearance, and he was played by Alec Baldwin. And as you know, throughout the 1980s, America's way of dealing with any sort of foreign policy in their films was to blow them to kingdom come. Send
Mm.
Rambo in, right? He'll sort it out, right? It was always, or Chuck Norris, let's just destroy things. Let's destroy our enemies. Well, what I loved about The Hunt for the Red October is Jack Ryan was a character. Alec Baldwin would go on board the submarine and face up against the enemy, right? And they would do it diplomatically. They would have a conversation. They would stop. They would de-escalate this situation without pulling guns on each other. And I just thought that was quite unique
Yeah.
for its time. And I felt that was part of the sentiment. That the Cold War was winding down, and I think that the whole appeal of being these Wall Street cokeheads was becoming less appealing as well. And I think that's what I love about Pretty Women. It's kind of like a little flag at that time that kind of just reminds you, yeah, things were changing. The 90s were better than the 80s. Sort of, I would say socially, I think people started to, uh, I don't know, that there was it was like there was a bit more consideration for people that were a bit more lower class in popular culture. Maybe it was just to do with the. I mean, even in Britain, because in Britain in the 80s, it was all those yuppies, those ones with the phones,
Yeah.
and they would get parodied. They would get parodied on television. We used to have this character, Harry Enfield, right? He had this character,
Yeah.
loads of
Loads of money.
loads of money,
Yeah.
right? Right, all that kind of thing was a parody of that sort of 80s mentality. But then in the 90s, you started to get the sort of the Manchester scene and all that kind of stuff. But it was more interested in, wasn't all about London and the bankers. It was more interested in northern places and these sort of. It just kind of changed. There was a shift. All went back again, right? That's the thing. It goes round in circles. But I felt culturally the 90s was a worlds apart from the 80s. Strange. And I think Pretty Women's kind of the beginning of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, just when I watch movies, I kind of look a bit too deep into them sometimes. I probably see stuff that isn't even there.
No, I'm the same.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm terrible for watching a film and then destroying it with logic.
yeah. Oh, I know. See, that's the thing. Some films you just can't let logic get in the way, right? Or you'll just not enjoy them. You just will not enjoy them if you. I, I don't mind. See if a movie is dumb from the get go, right? Like a 1980s ninja movie, like Canon Films. See if it's like it just tells you right on its sleeve, yeah, I'm a dumb ninja movie. I will forgive anything this movie does,
Yeah.
right? The characters could shoot lasers out their eyeballs just randomly, and I'll forgive that, right? But see if it's a pretentious film. It's like, yes, I'm a Batman movie, but I'm a crime procedural, right? It's like, no, mate, you're a Batman movie. Just be a Batman movie, right?
Yeah.
It's when these films are acting serious, serious, pretentious, and then they start shooting lasers out their eyeballs. That's when I go, no, you've lost me, right? When it
Yeah.
jumps the shark,
That's when it's a
right?
bad movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's a bad movie to start with, or it's just a dumb movie to start with, and it's saying yes, we have ninjas running about the golf course in modern day, then okay, I'll forgive anything this film does as long as it tells me what type of movie it is,
Yeah.
right? Because you get that as well. You get these films that are a little bit schizophrenic, don't you? They don't really make up their mind what type of film that they are until it's too late, and you're like, all right, okay, so it's a horror film all of a sudden. That annoys me.
Yeah. I can get your point. Yeah.
Uh, That's amazing. It's actually got darker in your room as this video is going on. That's kind of cool. Oh,
I would put a light on, but there's like moths and stuff.
moths? Do
Yeah.
you not like moths?
No. Oh, but the big crane fly. He's coming to my like. Oh.
Crane fly? What's
Yeah.
that? Is that like?
It's like a daddy long legs but with wings.
All right, they don't bother me. It's
Oh,
tarantulas I don't like, but I live in Scotland. There's no tarantulas here.
oh, talking of tarantulas, I bought a film
Oh,
called Eight-Legged Freaks.
oh
I'm,
yeah.
I'm
I've
just
never seen
really
that.
no, I'm really intrigued because David Arquette from Scream. So I was like, oh, I'll give it a go.
Did you see Scream 5?
Yeah, I went to cinema to see that. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I got a bit of nostalgia when they played his theme music. When Dewey's theme song came on, I was like, "Oh, that's right. He's got a theme song, hasn't he?" Why? Of all the characters in the film, he has a theme
I'd only recently watched the first Scream. It was around like Christmas time. I watched the first Scream for the
for the
first time.
first time.
First time,
Oh,
because
I'm
obviously
jealous.
I was like one when that came out, and then just fell in love with Matthew Lillard. So now I just want everything with him in it.
Oh, have you? Do you know? There's a. He's not in it much, but what's that one, The Descendants, with George Clooney?
Oh, what's in that?
That's a nice film. That's a really nice film. He's in it, but he's not got a big part in it. Matthew Lillard, and
Because
it's like a kind of family drama set in Hawaii. I guarantee you, see if you want a film that's going to make you, if you're feeling agitated, right? This is the most relaxing film you'll ever see in your life. There's this beautiful Hawaiian music that plays all the way through the film,
let's have a
and it,
look out for it.
and
Anything
it's
with
got
Matthew Lillard, I'm sold.
and it's gorgeous as well. Like the locations, it's all set in Hawaii. The Descendants with George Clooney, yeah, really enjoyed that.
I
I need to
recently
watch it.
watched Matthew Lillard and She's All That.
Oh, she's all that. I've
Mm,
not seen that. That's Freddie Prince Jr.
yeah,
Yeah.
some of that made me angry, but
Why?
it's just certain tropes that they use, like you were saying, like the geeky girls like turn into like the pretty one.
Oh, is
It was
that
a
the?
good film though, but had those sort because they recently made a version for Netflix called He's All That, like where they flipped it.
All right.
That was alright, but
But it's so obvious, isn't it? The way they do it in *Romancing the Stone* with Kathleen Turner, it's quite believable. They put a lot more effort into making her look a little bit more dowdy, but she's still gorgeous, right? Right? She's still really gorgeous. But then when they have her after she has her little jungle adventure and she comes out with her flowing locks and all that, it is quite funny. It makes you laugh. But but yeah, it is. I do love that about Vivian in Pretty Woman. Is there's a thing when they made Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid back in the '60s. I knew this because of the writer William Goldman who wrote the screenplay. Robert Redford was not a known actor. He'd been in a couple of movies previously, but nothing as big.
yeah,
And apparently, there's a scene in it where when he first meet his character Sundance, and he's sitting in the saloon, and all they have a major close up of this character, and the producers at the time were like, "Why have you got a close up on this actor? Nobody knows who this actor is. If you're going to give someone a close up, use Paul Newman. He's a much more well known actor,
yeah,
right?" But they were like, "No, no, we're going to keep this shot on him for the next, you know, 10, 15 seconds, which it's a long time,
mm,
and on the screen. Then we'll cut from that to there, and that's what I'm saying. It's a risk to have this unknown actor up on the screen for this length of time right in the middle of the shot at
yeah,
all times. So it shows you that Gary Marshall had real confidence in Julia Roberts in this film, and by putting her front and center. And you notice the way that they frame the shots, they make sure she's right out in front.
yeah,
And and if you're a well-known actor like Richard Gere, you can go into the you can get into the editing room. He can bully his way into the editing room. Actors
mm,
have done it. John
yeah,
Travolta did it for Saturday Night Fever because they were messing up the dance sequences. He managed to get into the editing room and get what he wanted into the final film. John
okay,
Travolta has a hand in the way that Saturday Night Fever is edited, believe it or not. So Richard Gere, he could pull his movie star clout and say, "Wait a minute, she's on the screen more than me. She's the, you know," and he could get his way. So that's what I'm saying, is that all the people in that movie had confidence in this woman to become the leading actor of this major production, even though she's not a big marquee name.
Yeah.
And they don't get that anymore. Nobody. Retrohawk. See, that's the thing as well. It's a lightning in
I
a
just,
bottle
yeah, I just
casting.
couldn't picture anyone else in
No,
those. It's kind of like with Back to the Future, because Mark J. Fox, there was someone else going to play Marty, wasn't there? Like Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz. Yeah, they shot like 2 weeks, maybe more. I think they shot more than 2 weeks with Eric Stoltz.
But I think they always originally wanted Michael J. Fox, but because he
That's
was doing
right. They
that
wanted
Family
him.
Ties, yeah,
They had to make a deal with the producer of Family Ties, and Michael J. Fox. He would like work at night on Back to the Future and go to work on Family Ties the next day. They're like no sleep, like 2 hours in between, you know.
it's
But yeah,
crazy.
Retrohawk. See that documentary. I watched that documentary on Netflix about the making of Pretty Woman, and they went into the casting of Gere and Roberts. They had Julia Roberts from the outset, from the very beginning. Even when it was a different production company that were going to make the film, it
Yeah,
was Julia Roberts was always going to be playing Vivian, and Richard Gere they tried to get over a long, long time, and
yeah,
but at the same time, the studios were never happy with Julia Roberts because she wasn't a big name, so they still went out and tested other actors for the part that she pretty much owned, right?
yeah,
And the same with Richard Gere, because apparently, like Al Pacino had tested out, and Charles Grodin, the dad from Beethoven,
yeah.
yeah, he tested to play Edward as well. That just wouldn't work. I'm
No,
sorry. He has to be handsome. He has to be Richard Gere, because that's part of it. That's if it was Danny DeVito playing Edward, then it would seem sleazy,
yeah,
wouldn't it? But the fact that he's Richard Gere, that kind of makes you think, yeah, but okay, he's paying her, right? But she gets to be with Richard Gere, right?
yeah,
It does take that kind of sleazy element away from it to an extent, but also, what was it? The way they went into that casting is that when they finally got Richard Gere, Julia Roberts herself asked him to play the part. She even wrote it in a post-it note.
yeah,
She wrote it in a post-it note and asked him to do it. And it was funny because the producer said that when they first met in a room before they'd even got Richard Gere to be in the film, was they just had it. They could see it. They could see straight away those two just have that chemistry,
yeah,
right? And they've not read a line of dialogue or anything. They already had it. I just thought that you sometimes wonder whether they make these things up just to kind of romanticize it a bit, though, don't you? You think, oh
mm,
well, can't just say that they had this really boring chat, right? Yeah, they had this really boring chat, and it was dead boring. No, it's got to be something magical, romantic, right? So
yeah,
we,
definitely.
but and anything else you would like to add from your notes or anything like that?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, definitely. What else have we got in store for your channel? You've got anything lined up? You're doing this Hitchcock? You're going
Yeah,
to do a Hitchcock series?
I filmed my unboxing for my Hitchcock set, and I'm just gonna ask like some other YouTubers to join me to review the films. So
All right. Would you like me to help with one?
yeah, you wanted was it North by Northwest, wasn't
Oh,
it?
I love North by Northwest.
Okay, I'll
That is
make it.
amazing.
I'll write down the films and see who'll join me. So I'll put you on
I,
the
I,
list for that one.
I think North by Northwest is like the best James Bond movie that isn't a James Bond movie.
I'm not a James Bond fan, so I probably might not like the film.
Have you never seen it?
No, I've only
Oh,
seen
it's
Psycho and the Birds out of like Hitchcock.
oh, you're so lucky. You get to watch these films for the very first time. That's the
So
best.
I'm excited though.
Wait till you see Rope. That's brilliant.
I've heard that most of them are really good.
Uh, so is that all his collection?
It's
Everything he's done?
the first 18 films.
Or he's from the early days when he was doing silent films as well?
No, I can't remember what's the first. I can't remember what the first film is on. It's like one of these bigger like productions.
All right. Like Rebecca.
I can't remember what one it is.
Oh, that'd be great. You gonna get dressed up and stuff, you know? Because
I might dress vintage for it.
yeah, why not?
Just on the live with Terrence.
Hello.
It's alright. It's just my mum. You off to bed?
No,
I thought he was going to bed.
it's only 9:30.
Oh, I thought it was later than that. Alright. I'll convene with you in a minute.
Is it just 10?
Alright.
Good night.
Bye.
Shy.
You're shy. Okay. Bye.
What's the it's interesting that it's both the same time there. I was like, oh no, what is it? Is it like dead late there? No, because you're in England, I'm in Scotland. It's the exact same. Do you still live with your parents? Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Just for now.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to do the Hitchcock and then just do some like, other film reviews. I might put my crafting on there as well.
Yeah.
I just don't want to box myself in. So try a bit of everything. Get my like
Right.
vinyl collection and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Why not? Because you don't know what's going to stick. I feel the same way. It's like I didn't do any lives before. I thought, you know what? This is what I do this month. I'll go live for the whole month. Why not? Right? And just try that. See what happens.
Yeah, so
And yeah, because that's the thing when you're a small tuber, it's just experimentation time, innit? And it's just to get the chemistry set out and burn your eyebrows off, you know?
yeah.
See what happens. But
I'm just gonna just put up whatever when I feel like it and see what works.
that's it. Is there anything you want to ask me at all?
Not what I can think of. I'll probably think of something after the live, but
Exactly. I know there is loads to say about Pretty Women, though. It is one of those films that there is, like you said, it's like an onion that does have layers. Even though
yeah.
it's a piece of popcorn, you think it is a piece of popcorn, but the more, oh hi Afro Mex, how you doing?
Yeah.
Welcome to live. Give us a thumbs up. We're talking about Pretty Women. I'd like to hear some questions from you. Anything you want to ask us about Pretty Women? Give us your opinion on Pretty Women. We're kind of spent. Hi, co-host. Yeah, you'll see her in the comments. The the description. I put our link in the description. Afromex, if you want to jump over there as well.
Yeah, be appreciated. Thank you.
I really covered everything. I spent ages on that. All those questions as well. But yeah, they got this. They just the way that I just love the way the clothes tell the story like that. I can't think of another film that does that. I know you can say like, oh, you know, like sometimes you can tell something from a wound that someone's got, right? I've seen this great film from the 1970s called Sorcerer. If you've never seen that, if you love suspense, that film has it in a lot of suspense. But there's a sequence in it that always haunts me to this day, where this woman's it's on her wedding day. She's not even a main character; she's just a background character. It's just these characters are at a wedding, right? But the bride has a black eye, right? right? She's standing at the altar getting married, and she has a black eye, and that just, to me, I've already built a picture in my mind
Yeah.
of what. How did she get a black? How? Why would a woman have a black eye on her wedding day, right? And these. It does turn out these are gangsters at this wedding, and they're being behind in the backstage. They're being robbed by these other crooks, right? So that's not
Okay.
even the main. The wedding's not the main focus. It's just the backdrop. Yeah, Pretty Women with Julia Roberts, of course. And that just, I love like a little image that can give you a even bigger picture in your imagination, right? Did her new husband do this to her on the day before her wedding, or on her wedding day? Is that how awful these people are, right? And you just start to kind of come up with almost like a little movie in your mind just based on one image. I love that. I love films that do that. I don't
I
like
was,
everything.
I was like that watching Kill Bill because I'd never seen Kill Bill, knew nothing about it, and obviously that opens like on her wedding day, like all battered and bruised, and like, oh, what's happened?
Yeah, exactly. But that does eventually get explained to you,
I loved
right?
Kill Bill. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's great. See, but I sometimes like it when nothing gets explained. That these things will never be answered. Or,
No, I
or
get too frustrated. I start making
yeah.
up stories in my head, like, oh, this happened. They're going.
See, I like that. I mean, it kind of gives it a timelessness. It kind of makes you think, well, there'll never be an answer to that. I mean, this one shot in this film has got absolutely no relevance or importance to the story of this movie, but right, I still think about it. Whereas other movies that I watched today, and I've not seen this movie in a couple of years, but a movie I might have watched the other day, I couldn't tell you what happened in it. Right? No, that I like that. I like having something to remember, right? And that's the thing about Pretty Women is one of those films that you could pretty much close your eyes and you could see a scene from that film,
Yeah,
right? And the one that always gets me as well is the jewelry box, right? Which was an outtake. That was
yeah,
just them mucking about on the set, and they kept it in the film. Stuff like that. That editor, that, and it was most of the greatest editors in cinema are women, right? And that goes way back to the old days. For some reason, women have always been the best editors. Oh, this movie is legendary. There we go. This movie is legendary. I remember my dad bought the cassette VCR movie back in the days. I still have that song ringing in my head, walking down the street. Pretty woman, all right. Walking down the street, pretty woman. Evening tea dog. Oh no. Hi Billy, how you doing? Walking down the street. Yeah, it was, for me. It's been go west. Well, I don't mean to fall at your feet, but you cut me to the bone. That one, I've had that in my head all day because I watched Pretty Women last night just by myself, and I had a really good time. I just love that movie, and it's just get it just that's the thing as well. Like I've not been. I've, I think it's maybe a recent development, maybe the past 10 years, but I've lost that kind of snobbery, right? I can't. I used to be a bit stuck up about modern films, or the people can't make good films anymore and stuff like that. I'm losing that as well. I'm losing that sort of opinion. Stop being kind of arrogant about films and go. You know what? Someone today could make a film better than The Godfather quite easily. It's just you just need to find it. You know,
I've never seen The Godfather.
you never seen The Godfather?
No.
It's good. There, don't feel embarrassed. There are many supposed masterpiece movies that I've not seen. Right? I might sound like I'm a complete movie guru. I'm really not. I mean, I'm good. I'm talking about the only rom-com I think I liked. Okay, well, that's good.
I think that's the problem. Like men could be all like tough guys, like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna watch it because it's like a girly film. Do you know what I
Or
mean?
they're getting dragged to it by their missus. That's
Yeah,
it. It's like the only time they'll ever see a film like this is when they're getting dragged to it by their missus, and they would never admit it that they'd liked it to their friends if they went down down the pub and they're like, oh, so what did you go? Oh, that woman, my woman she dragged me to see Sex in the City, the movie. It was terrible. I mean,
secretly you're like, oh, I liked it. Oh, I like the dresses.
yeah. If you actually, I know, but that's the thing is like, we're not blind. Dresses look great. Color schemes are fantastic. Doesn't make me. It doesn't mean that I've lost my masculinity by admitting that, right?
Yeah, like my dad always cries at Ghost. So the one film he'll always cry at is Ghost.
There's no harm in that. You know, I see. I don't feel there is anything that makes you less of a man
Yeah,
in the traditional sense, right? If you admit that you like Pretty Women and you like the costumes, you like the decor of the film, to me that just a big part of this movie is also the soundtrack. Everything just glued together. Yeah,
yeah, love the
absolutely.
soundtrack.
Yeah, I missed that era, but the 80s was just full of amazing pop soundtracks. I can't remember the last time a movie came out with a pop soundtrack, and you're like, oh, see the way you've got that record and it's got all the different bands on the front that are in
Yeah,
this movie, right? Most of them won't even appear in the film. You'll hear like snippets of them here and there. Uh, Ghostbusters was like that. Top Gun was like that. The Lost Boys. All these movies, Footloose, they all had amazing pop soundtracks. It was like, and the strange thing, if you were a fan of that particular artist, right? Say you liked the Thompson Twins. The Thompson Twins are on the Ghostbusters soundtrack. In the name of love,
yeah,
yeah, right. And that song would not be on any of their other albums. So if you were a fan of this band, you had to go buy that soundtrack to get that one song.
yeah.
That was how they would get you, right? They used to do that. They did that all the way. I don't know if they still do that, but they did that all the way up into the 90s, I remember. And got any plans, Larry Cohen, Full Moon? I don't know. What's the next series? I'm just going to do requests. I've got a bunch of requests to do, John B. You're overdue one as well, man. So I'm just going to blaze through some requests. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it easy before I do a all-out series again. But I really like the shopping scene in Pretty Woman, mainly because she metaphorically stuck two fingers up at those snobby salespeople. Yeah, we did talk about that. I just love the bootlicking store manager. He's hilarious. Yeah, Prince. But that's it. But that was the whole soundtrack, Retro Hawk. Prince did the whole Batman soundtrack. And do you know
Yeah,
what?
I've got that on vinyl.
It's underrated, isn't it? It's really good. See my favourite song is it Vicky's Waiting? You know that one?
I think so.
Vicky's Waiting. I love that soundtrack. Ghost was surprisingly good when I watched it a few months ago. Ghost's amazing. Whoopi
One
Goldberg's
talking
amazing.
of great soundtracks, I don't know if you've seen the film Last Night in Soho.
No, I've heard that's good though.
That film was literally made for me. The fashion, the music, just everything. It's just brilliant.
When was the last time you saw a movie, like a modern film, right, where the clothes in it were cool? You're like, wow, the costume design in that.
It's probably
Maybe,
Last Night in Soho. I really
yeah,
recommend that film.
yeah.
It's all like
Is
60s
it?
fashion. It's great.
Oh, see, I like that. I like that old 60s style. Like
It's sort
the,
of like a psychological film with like horror.
yeah. I know, I've heard so many good things. You should definitely do Maximum Overdrive. That movie has got an incredible backstory. So is that your request then, John B? Maximum Overdrive? I mean, obviously the movie's pants, but yeah, I could have a good laugh with it. Who made who? Who made you?
Sometimes that's what you want when you've had like a stressful day. You just want something just to stick on and like
What a piece of
not really,
rubbish.
not think too much about it. Like
That's
it
why,
could be like a great film, a bad film, just something just to shut your mind off.
yeah. Smokey and the Bandit. That's my kind of go-to, sort of brainless, chewing gum for the brains type film. I just don't need to think. Or one of those ninja films. Ninja. Have you seen Ninja 3: The Domination?
No.
Oh, you need to see that. That is so brainless and fun. Great costumes. Dune, Blade Runner 2049. Yeah, I know, but I like it when it seems as though it's clothes you could actually buy. That's what I like about
Yeah,
Pretty Woman.
last night in Soho, you could just like wear anything in that film.
I know, but it's made, isn't it? Oh, that's
Mm.
like the cost. I suppose they're all made by the costume department. But like in Pretty Woman, the clothes in that are stuff that you could have at the time maybe bought. But if you're going to talk about Dune or Blade Runner 2049, that is the costume department for that movie that's tailored that. You know? Can I request Maniac Cop? Yeah, Maniac Cop. Awesome. I haven't seen Maniac Cop in about 30 years.
No, I've never seen it. I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, Maniac Cop. Kingsman. Yeah, Kingsman. Yeah, well, Kingsman, they're like, is that not set in a tailor?
I've only seen the first Kingsman film. I actually
Yeah.
quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, with the big gun battle in it. Is just like shooting everyone in a church or something? I just remember that. Colin Firth. That film gets better with time. What, Maniac Cop? I need to remember these. Anything else you want to talk about?
Not what I can think of.
Right. Hi there. Give us a thumbs up. Grab anybody you want in the comments and drop banana. Oh, all righty. You want to? Oh, Terry, that's only because your fashion sense comes entirely from Sonny Crockett. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I just like wearing suits. This is a C&A jacket. You know, C&A today. No, C&A gone yesterday. I just love this suit because it's a C&A suit. You know, I love wearing clothes that don't exist. Well, I love wearing clothes from stores that don't exist anymore. I'm a mad like time traveler. Oh, Mr. Ben. Yeah, that's what he did, didn't he? He went into a clothes shop, put on the clothes, and travelled in time. You ever seen that?
I don't remember Mr. Ben, but it's what my dad grew up with.
Yeah, that's kind of making me feel old. Thank you. Talk about Statham. Always plays the same character no matter what. Oh, Crank. Have you seen Crank?
No, but that's one where he has to keep like doing his heart rate, isn't it?
Yeah. Both that and Crank. Was it Crank High Voltage? They're both brilliant. It's just silly. That's one of those films that says, yes, I'm 100% stupid from the get go. Right? And it's fine. You know, nothing wrong with a film just wearing its heart on its sleeve. Yes, I am 100% crackers, dumb fun. You know, but see, I don't think Pretty Women is that way. Pretty Women is a simple story, but it's told in such an effective way, and the effort that's put in by Richard Gere, Julia Roberts, and Garry Marshall, the director, is just 10 out of 10.
Yeah, just
Absolutely 10 out
gels
of
really
10.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, if they had Charles Grodin in that part or Al Pacino, and they were just phoning it in, you know, if you had one person who was phoning it in, even some of the supporting actors, Hector Elizondo is the hotel manager,
I was
right?
Barney. Brilliant character. I love him.
Isn't he? He's brilliant. See if any of those guys weren't pulling their weight, if they were just having an off, you know, and that happens so much in films. I hate seeing actors sleepwalk through a film. It really, I mean, it's just so boring. You should also do a Hudson Hawk review. Well, tune in tomorrow. Is it tomorrow, Thursday? I'm going to be on someone else's channel talking about Hudson Hawk. Have you seen that one? Hudson Hawk? Bruce
No,
Willis?
I'd never heard of that film before.
Right? It's insane. It's Bruce Willis and he's a cat burglar. It's from the 90s. It's terrible. It was a big flop when it came out. Nobody liked it, but I do. I like it, even though it's a complete. I do admit it's a mess. It's an absolute mess of a film, Sophie. Anything else?
No, not that I can think of.
Yeah. Oh, Hudson Hawk is Gere. Is Gere good? Can't seem to figure out the drop banana. Drop banana? That's just you going and subbing to somebody else, John B. You just go grab somebody, go to their channel, watch for 4 minutes, leave a comment, thumbs up, then drop banana. I remember playing the associated game to Hudson Hawk. Oh yeah, it's like a platform game, wasn't it? Oh, I bet you've got that, Retro Hawk, the Hudson Hawk video game. Banana or this? I don't know what you mean. Oh no, you don't need to click on them. You just grab their name, copy it, paste it into another tab on YouTube, and then go visit them and sub to them. That's it. Yeah. I know what it means, but you can't click on anyone. Okay. Hudson Hawk was legit good. Do you think so? I don't know. It's a bit of a mixed bag. It's one of those films where it can't really make up its mind if it's for adults or it's for children. That always annoys me. Do you ever get that, Sophie?
Oh, what film was it? It's Drop Dead Fred, because at first watching that I was like, oh, it's just going to be a typical kids film, and then it just no.
Right. See, I would say the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Is that the
Right.
Bob Hoskins film?
Yeah. Why did it
heard-
have to look? Have you not seen that?
No, I've
Yeah.
heard a lot of people talk about it though.
It's rubbish, right? Or Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is one of those films.
I love the ending of that, like at the concert where he's like, Howard the Duck.
No, but there's some of the humor in it is not appropriate for children. And
no,
then
he just brings out this like weird shaped condom. I'm just like,
I know, and he's got like is it not like a duck with boobies in it as well? There is that.
Right, the
I
start,
know.
It's
just
stuff
like-
in the bath.
Is this film for grown-ups or is it for children? It cannot make up its mind. That really annoys me. You either make a film for children or you don't, right? You can't do both. And that's what Hudson Hawk is like. Hudson Hawk has this, like, people get knocked unconscious with their heads get bashed together, and it makes the sound of like coconuts getting smacked together, right? Like the Three Stooges. And then they have like people saying some really nasty stuff in it. You're like, huh? You're making this goofy Three Stooges humor mixed with that? No. Anyway, you want to call it a night then?
Yeah,
I'm not really. I've not really worked out how to close my live stream. I need to sort of work on I don't know. Maybe even like, well, it's time to say goodbye. I don't know, like we sing it out. Not sure about Endgame. Endgame, yeah, it sucked. Aye. Anyway, thanks for tuning in for this one, right? Hope you all have a great week, okay? I'm going to be doing some more lives, just trying to boost up the watch hours and get to meet some other YouTubers, people in the community. Hope you all have a great night. Cheery bye.